This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Hello, Judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you this question. Like, a lot of us, black people, we don't know about the law until we get in trouble. It's when we learn a lot about the law that we didn't know. Like, if you got pulled over for, I guess, having dark tinted windows, or your windows were, I guess, tinted, and they thought it was dark, do the police have a right to search your car without a warrant? Do they have a right?
Not for that.
You said no?
Not for that. They have to have other circumstances that would give them a reasonable belief, a reasonable suspicion that a crime is being committed. Now, the other thing, too, I tell people with these dark windows, if you're going to get them darkened up, you need that DOT sticker. It says Department of Transportation. They can't mess with you. That's not even cause.
How you get there? I mean, you got to pay. I mean, I know you got to pay as a tax.
I mean, it usually comes with going and get it done by a reputable entity.
Oh, so they provide, so you get your tenant windows. They're supposed to give you a sticker with that. Is that what you're saying?
No, it goes is in the material itself. If you see it, it's down in one corner. Like, look here, officer, DOT, that's the feds. They cooperated. I haven't done anything wrong.
So this is what people need to know. A lot of people get pulled over. I got people that getting pulled over for dark tinted windows. They try, like, it's under suspicion, and they stopping and searching people's cars. So they don't know the law.
It's called a pretextual search.
Okay.
In other words, what happens is if they find something, they invent reasonable suspicion or probable cause to pull you over. In other words, the rest of it is just a construct if they find something, but they may pull 215 people over and get nothing out of 214 of them. And that's just a bad habit. But you got some chicken shit judges downtown who don't have the backbone to stand up to the law and dismiss something on a motion to suppress. Don't have the nerve, so they get in the habit of stopping 214 people to get to 215. About 25 years ago, we had a war going on between here and Texas. Texas Rangers were stopping anybody with one of those three number 3 prefix, or number 1, I forget which it was, that indicated it was Memphis, Tennessee, out of retaliation because they had a drug interdiction, an interstate interdiction squad around here, and they were pulling everybody over with a Texas plate. So you pull 300 or 400 people over, 80 people over, and you get 1 or 2 you bag, that's pretextual activity. And the Texas Rangers and the Texas Highway Patrol, state police, were pulling over anybody with a Memphis tag in retaliation.
Tennessee and Texas got such an interesting relationship from a historical point of view. I mean, Sam Houston is Tennessee connected. You look at the former Speaker of the House, Sam Rayburn. He was from Tennessee, but he represented Texas. Andrew Jackson, right? A lot of David Crockett at the Alamo. So I'm saying the interest we got this, even with the music, like you look Bobby Blueland or A.L.L and MJG.
The 3 states that are hooked up are Texas, California, and Tennessee. Even in the Navy, they got this thing. When they name one warship California, the sister ship is named Tennessee.
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
That's been going on for 100-some years. And there are a lot of people in California from Tennessee and a lot of people in Tennessee like me who come back from California.
So I just want people to know about that. I mean, can you refuse the search then without a warrant? Can you say I want a warrant, or just
in other words, there's not much you can do when you're unarmed and somebody's armed, but you don't have to consent to it. Do you mind if we search your car? Yes, I do.
So what do they do then? I mean, when you say no?
Well, in other words, if they're playing along with it, what happens is they ask you, do you mind if we search your vehicle? Yes, I do mind. Well, what do you have to hide? I have no comment on that. I do mind that you search the vehicle. Well, you may be here for a while. We'll have to get a warrant. Well, take your time.
So you can't say that, because a lot of us are afraid. You know how we teach our kids to be afraid of law and police and stuff? We instill that trauma in our children, and they instill it in their children.
Actually, you're going to run into some freakos who are scared. The worst person to run into is a scary MF, because he'll kill you. But the best thing to do is act with dignity and act with courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to say yes, sir, no, sir, etc. like that. I say that to everybody I talk to. If I don't know you well, if I know you well, then we can get familiar. Otherwise, if I don't know you, if you're around me, I always say yes, sir, no, sir, no matter who you are.
That's how I be doing. I mean, it's a survival skill. You just need to learn how to navigate.
That's not even survival. That's just out of respect. But if you keep it on that level, officer, what seems to be the problem? You're invited to inquire. That's your right as a citizen. Am I under arrest? Not at this time. Well, am I under suspicion? No. Well, may I leave? No. Well, in that case, by law, if you aren't able to leave, you may treat this as you are under suspicion. You are under arrest.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, all of your rights apply. You don't have to tell them anything. You have a right to remain silent. The Fourth Amendment gives you a right to be free from unreasonable search and seizures. What usually happens is that they go ahead and search anyway. They got to come up with invent something, but it doesn't help if you consented to it. Because a lot of people say, how long am I going to be here if I don't? Well, you may be here for a good few hours. Oh, hell. Well, go ahead then.
You should never do that. Right.
You don't ever do that. It's like somebody, they come to your door. When we come in and search, no, you may not. You have a warrant.
So
I've been over people's houses, when I was practicing law way back when, like, can we come in and search? Well, man, yeah, no, he doesn't. Who are you? I said, I'm his lawyer. Oh.
They back out then, huh? But you know the law. So, Judge,
I can remember one case. We tried it in General Sessions. A man got convicted, and he got convicted in criminal court, and we won it on appeal. They wanted to come in and search this man's place. They had no probable cause. The criminal court judge wasn't really up on the criminal law. He was one of Andrew Jackson's fans, even kind of looked like him. That's why he was a fan. He was long retired, so he just said they should have slammed the door in the cops' faces. But when they stood up there and debated with them, then that became, interfering with their process. So he convicted them. But the Court of Appeals said they had no right of the authority to go in the person's place.
So let's say, Judge, if you say, like, you get pulled over and the cops say, "Can I search your vehicle?" and you say no, and they do it anyway, and they found some contraband of some type, you still could stand a good case or a good chance of getting your case thrown out of court?
Yeah, in other words, I mean, you may not, but you got to fight it. See, that's 97.6% of all of the people in the penitentiaries pled guilty. There's 2.4% went to trial and got found guilty.
Wow.
85+% of those people that pled guilty confessed. See, everybody, I just want to get it over. Why do you get this? I just want to get it over with. No, it wasn't. Yeah, you didn't have to do that. But that becomes a motivating factor because they're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, I didn't have no good lawyer. No, I watched you. You forgetting you telling me a story I saw on the other side. I was a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So I questioned you for 15 minutes about whether this was a free and voluntary plea. You just said you wanted to get it over with.
That's your life on the line,
I
though.
railroaded you.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually hoping you'd set it for trial.
Mm.
But your weak mind, you sat up there, you got scared by the whole thing. You didn't want to take chances. You'd rather them just put their head in rather than ramming it in, or rather than taking the chance to fight it so you can keep your drawers pulled up.
Wow. Jeez.
I mean, we just don't get it. See, I mean, you just have no idea how often this happens. You have somebody out in your courtroom, they're playing OG, and they got their homies off in the courtroom and doing recess when they can talk. Yeah, man, well, we're going to get this down, man. It's like this, man, my lawyer, my son, we're going to kick some ass, man, blah, 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 blah. So then when you're back in session, all right, defense, are you ready? State, well, Madam Court Reporter, can you bring a steno machine back to chambers? How long did it take you? About 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, we'll take an indeterminate recess. If anybody has anything, let my clerk know, and she can come get me. But we're going to listen in camera to the tape on this alleged confession. So you get back there and you're looking at this dude. He got snot running out of his nose, tears coming out of his eyes. Oh, where you going to be? Where you going to be talking about, mama? Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said everything he said. And then you get up to one. You don't have to talk. You have a right to remain silent. Now, look, if you feel ill at ease about this, we can stop everything right now. All you got to do is say, just stop. We'll stop. Make sure you get a lawyer you can consult with. If you can't afford one will be appointed to represent you. Well, son, we can't talk to you if you want a lawyer. Oh, Well, do you want a lawyer? Oh, man, y'all wrong.
Wow.
And then you start worrying. Then you start wishing. Well, what are you cops slap this fool across his head and try to give this fool some dignity or something?
How you keep from laughing? Do people be laughing in the court with this shit?
I guess sometimes you can't.
Wow. Now you talking about just those man moments, man, like that moment of truth, man. You reveal who you really are.
Oh man, some of these dudes are just nothing but flat out punks. They got some badasses too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know this was hooked up with that Johnson woman. It was a hit that she allegedly had taken out on somebody, and the man that set the hit up, everybody knew his name, where they could find him, but they couldn't bring him to trial because under American law, you cannot convict anybody on the uncorroborated evidence of an accomplice.
This was later pardoned by Trump, right? The black woman from Memphis pardoned by Trump. She set this up? Okay.
Yeah.
Queen Pin.
So anyway, the man that took the hit and set it up, he's immune from prosecution because he just, every time they tried to question him, he'd write at the bottom of the waiver, he said, I want a lawyer. Literally, go fuck yourself.
So he was from he was a foreigner? He was from Latin America?
No, he was from Memphis.
Oh, it was a Memphis dude that knew the law.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. A black man?
Yeah, black.
So he actually knew his rights. You tell me he knew his rights and he knew the law inside and out, and he's a criminal.
There's other people sitting in the penitentiary right now But he set the hit up, and she's the one that took the hit out. She got 25. She got life on something else.
Wow.
She's out though.
So they didn't really tell the whole story behind it. They got us thinking that this woman was grandmotherly.
The airhead, lightweight Kim Kardashian. There's not a damn thing about criminal law. But see, that's the way we are in America now.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, how does she get so much play in the black media?
I mean, she got a lot of play with black men.
What is she supposed to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at it. What do you usually get in the press these days? If you see a black man with a white woman, you get all the sisters bad mouthing the white woman. Yeah, you got to get him, so on and so forth. Yeah, he couldn't have him, no sister. But they seem to love Kim. I don't know what that is. Maybe she just a good hoe or something, and they like that.
I guess it's something about we like. It's something I was thinking about when you talk about the Black Irish. I think about black folks' infatuation with the Kennedys. Joe Papa Kennedy, he was a racist. He didn't care for black people, but
He's a fucking racist. He was a gangster. He was a bootlegger. You know who they based his character? Did you ever see this movie Road to Perdition?
Yeah. I seen that. It was a good movie.
You know who that gangster was that they had in that movie? They based that character on Joe Kennedy.
Giving a Paul Newman character?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was a good movie. Okay.
Yeah, but see, Kennedy was a gangster, and one of the things he did was he made a whole lot of money keeping black folk out of the market, out of the employment market in Boston.
But yeah, black folks love the Kennedys. I mean, was it Robert Kennedy, Wiretap, MLK?
Yep.
We love the Kennedys. I don't know what's wrong with us. But Jackie, like you talk about what you talk about white people and race. Jackie Kennedy's father was they were from mixed heritage. They had black folks in their family.
Yeah, well, remember
they call him Blackjack. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, remember about racism being so bad. Look at Clarence Thomas. He's obviously black.
Right.
All of his decisions adverse to black folk.
Even though he benefited from affirmative action, right? He was a main beneficiary of affirmative action.
Look, they tried to recruit me to Yale Law School. My grades and LSAT were so high. I didn't want to go. When they invited me up there trying to recruit me, they had 5 feet of snow on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, what are you trying to do here? Why do you want me in here? And they said, well, we're trying to get parameters set up for an affirmative action plan because our graduates lead America, so we want them to be able to network with all races and ethnicities. Okay. So they set up a minority admissions plan. 2 years later, Clarence Thomas was the last person to be admitted to Yale Law School for that year under their affirmative action plan. Now, they were telling me that as a major law school, you can't flunk out. We won't let you flunk out because that's an onus on us of making a bad decision. So Clarence Thomas manages to flunk out after his first year.
Wow.
So what happened is that first semester, they sent that snake around the country to speak against affirmative action. So he did a good job trying to kill it. And as a reward, one of his conservative Republican professors discovered that the D he gave him should have been a B.
Wow.
So he stayed in. So every summer vacation, they trotted Clarence's ass around the country to speak against affirmative action. And then when he got hired straight out of law school to be to work in this state attorney general's office that had a proviso that if you were a Yale graduate, you got waived in without having to take the bar. They had him in the tax office, but what he was really doing is they were trotting him around all over the country talking against affirmative action. But now, obviously, he's black, okay, but he doesn't like his people. But then again, you have people who are not so obviously black, like J. Edgar Hoover, who it turns out had family problems with the Klan.
Mm-hmm.
Klan used to burn crosses in his parents' yard all the time. Why? Because they were passing for white.
Mm.
So we got another Negro, undercover Negro who hates himself.
That's interesting. And just also I discovered.
By the way, wait a minute. Extrapolate that back to the beginning of this country's history, where, they were born 1720, 1740.
Right.
And granddaddy was born in the 1600s. So they have that knowledge of who was slipping around in the wood piles. So
right.
you may hate something that you are if you don't want it to get to the light of day.
That makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I want to add, too, I think it's fascinating. I had discovered recently, I was researching JFK. His best friend was a guy named Kirk Lemoyne Billings. They say they were homosexual lovers. He had a special access to the White House, real close to the Kennedy family. I found out that his great-grandfather was the founder of what is now known as Lamar Owen College. He gave $20,000 to create Lamar Owen back in the 1870s.
No doubt.
So, I mean, it's amazing, though. A lot of black folks don't know that. Memphis is an interesting place.
Well, it's like, frankly, a whole lot of these people had homosexual things they were into. Like, for example, Bobby Kennedy and Hoover tangled because Hoover informed Robert Kennedy that in the process of electronic surveillance on this house of suspicion in Los Angeles dealing with organized crime, they recorded John F. Kennedy having sex with several men that they recorded.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's what the thing is. As a matter of fact, tell you where you can see that. There's a movie, J. Edgar. DiCaprio plays in that as J. Edgar, and Clint Eastwood is the director.
Okay.
They explore J. Edgar's homosexuality.
But not his race, right? They didn't explore his race, just his homosexuality.
They even implied some stuff on that, too.
Okay.
No. There are a whole lot of people like Byron Rustin.
Oh, yeah.
Homeboy, straight up gay.
Oh, yeah. But that was an open secret. Like a lot of guys, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., a lot of them cats knew that, though.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
By the way, that's what Hoover had on a lot of some of these folk in the black civil rights thing. They were gay, or they were bisexual, or they were pedophiles.
But could we trust what they said about King, though, and the files that were recently released on the JFK file thing? Should we be suspect of that?
About him having some tendencies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
A whole lot of preachers are into that. How many of the little sisters you seen prancing around up by the pulpit and the preacher just got a benign smile on his face?
I remember Paul the Apostle said he wanted to be celibate because there was a choice. He didn't recommend that everybody do what he did. He didn't, he didn't say all the ministers and men of God got to be celibate or not be in relations with women.
Well, the Catholic Church allowed priests to be married up until the 1300s.
That's interesting.
And what happened, they wanted to keep the property. If somebody's married and they die, the property goes to the family.
Gotcha.
So the Catholic Church said, we're not having that. If you get the property, then the property goes to the church, not to the family.
But how many people think know that? I mean, you got 1 billion followers in the Catholic Church. I mean,
yeah, but see, almost 50% of the priests were married when they came up with that edict. It had a whole lot of repercussions.
man, wow. So the Vatican is more of a political than religious organization, right? It's more political, financial organization.
Like Constantine called the Snood to come up with the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
In the 400s, they came up with the Bible. In less than 2 years, almost all of the people who had been involved in that process met an untimely death.
Now, that's some real Godfather stuff. Was that the Council of Nicaea? What they call it?
Yeah, and they called it again, and they completely replaced all of those Gospels that were in the original Bible with some new ones. They've got 124 Gospels, but that is nowhere near how few they have in the actual instrument known as the Bible.
But how many Christians really do read the Bible? Like, how many people know about the Constitution? I mean, they call themselves patriots, but they never read the Constitution. People call themselves Christians and never read the Bible for themselves.
And they don't. And there's another thing, too. If you're a Mason and you're deep into Masonry and you read it, there's another meaning, another couple of meanings that come across from it that aren't anywhere near what it sounds like just on its face.
A lot of people join organizations don't know the reason why it was founded, or its rules and laws.
Well, like that's one of Masonry. They have all of these hocus pocus fables about Masonry. None of that crap's true. The ones that know belong to the Masons, and they aren't telling. But I'll just say this: it's got nothing to do with witchcraft or any of that kind of nonsense. It's just that Masonry involved itself with building. It used stones to build monumental architecture. Masonry is the process of taking an untrained person and developing character in that person and giving him the knowledge to come from learning how to make bricks to designing a temple.
What do you say about, I guess, a Mason or a Scottish Rite, third degree, like Albert Pike, he was a general over Cherokee for the Confederacy, but also he's the founder of the Ku Klux Klan, who spent time in Memphis around the same time as Forrest.
Let's put it this way. It's interesting. A slave owner took some of his slaves to Scotland.
Okay.
And he gave the slaves to, just go do what you want to do. So they became Masons. So when they got back to the United States, they got a problem. You can't enslave a Mason. So what do? Well, they set up their own thing for the black Masons. But you see, I've had this happen. One time, it'd been 45 years ago, I was riding a motorcycle. I was down deep off in Mississippi. And these nice paved highways you see, they weren't like that then. They were asphalt off of the freeway, off of the interstate. Then they got to be gravel. Then they got to be dirt.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, man, I had a flat tire.
Wow. No cell phone. It's 45 years ago.
Yeah, no cell phone. It's back in the 70s.
In Mississippi, deep in Mississippi.
In Mississippi.
After the 60s. Okay.
Man, I'm from California. But, oh, man, this is some shit here. So I just said, let me try something. So I started giving some of the emergency signs for Masonry, right? It might not have been in the 70s. It might have been in the 80s. I'm not quite sure exactly. But anyway, these rednecks pulled up in a pickup truck with Confederate flag all off on that sucker. I said, oh, hell, what if the damn have I done to myself? So they got out. We exchanged some signs and symbols, and some language, and said, okay, hell. And they took a hoist and hoisted my motorcycle in the back of that pickup. I jumped on in. They took me to a gas station. They ordered a new tube for the tire.
Wow.
And brought it in there, put it on, and didn't charge me a dime.
So they didn't drag you behind the pickup truck. They allowed you to sit in the cab with them.
I was amazed.
This is Mississippi. See, this is blowing people's minds when they hear this. What the hell?
Well, see.
What about Emmett Till? What about Mega Evans? What about these cats, man?
But you see, there's a thing. That's what gets me. People so damn unsophisticated, and their lines of communications and alliances that go all over the place that people aren't aware of.
Right.
That's why American politics looks like it does right now. The Republicans and the Democrats have morphed into agencies that blow smoke screens, so the public doesn't realize that what they're really about is three things: advancing the interests of LGBTQ, high finance, and big energy. And both parties have these little distracting programs that they give for the rest of the rank and file that we fight over. Meanwhile, it's all about LGBTQ, big energy, and high finance. High finance, you can read Goldman Sachs.
Right. I mean, the government is basically Goldman Sachs now for the last almost 20 years. See?
Oh, yeah. You got the two women that Obama got on the Supreme Court. Their law firms the law firms they were with either represented Goldman Sachs in one case, or they consulted with Goldman Sachs. The last person Obama put on the Supreme Court had worked with a law firm that represented Goldman Sachs. Obama and Michelle worked for a law firm that represented Goldman Sachs. Hillary Clinton's daddy worked for Goldman Sachs. Cruz's wife worked for Goldman Sachs. Geithner, the Secretary of the Treasury, talking about letting the fox run the hen house. He was chief consultant for Goldman Sachs and came up with that cockamamie scheme about bundling mortgages. See, it's insidious. The only person that was out there practically was Bernie Sanders that had no Goldman Sachs connections.
But the Democratic Party, they just basically, I don't know if they betrayed him. I guess he was in on it or something. But
yeah, they did. That's some of the stuff that came out, and that stuff that they want to blame the Russians for revealing on Hillary.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of the Russians, what if I heard something that people think, or somebody was saying that it was China, not Russia, that actually did the hacking? Have you heard that?
There wasn't any hacking that actually miscounters cause votes to miscount. You have to actually have physical access to the machines, or at least one or two machines in the system in order to hack them. But what they did is they got information and they passed information around. But I know I didn't vote because of the Russians the way I voted.
You know what's interesting, Judge? Like you said, like...
Hey, wait a minute. One other thing. As long as people have been going to see James Bond movies and fans of James Bond, where in the devil did we get off of being so unsophisticated as to think that for the last 2 years, the Russians and the Americans haven't been trying to influence each other's political process? Give me a break. How naive and unsophisticated can you be if you think that doesn't go on a regular basis?
I mean, it's the art of war, but I'm just saying what Judge was interesting, like you said, with the passage of time, how the ignorance increased because we don't study history. Because I remember that President Kennedy did a speech, I believe, at American University, Well, he gave Russia the credit for winning World War II.
Yeah, they did win World War II.
But a lot of people don't know. We don't know that, though. Because his biggest mistake was not making a deal with Russia when he wanted to invade the Soviet Union. That was one of his biggest mistakes during the war.
Let me tell you something. They had the Battle of Kursk.
Mm-hmm.
The Russians had 320 divisions at the Battle of Kursk, and the Germans had 240.
Mm.
U.S. Army never has had that many divisions. Get it. The Russians lost 9 million dead soldiers in World War II.
Mm.
We didn't even hit 1 million. In fact, more people died in the American Civil War than have died in all of the rest of the wars we've been in combined.
Well, we don't even know that, though. We think Vietnam was just, oh my God, we lost so many people.
No, Vietnam had 52,000 direct casualties, 56,000 afterwards, suicides that are directly attributable to that. But let's take 52,000.
Mm-hmm.
World War II, in the 8th Air Force, that's the Bomber Command, in a 14-month period, the U.S. Army Air Force lost 52,000 dead airmen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the flyboys. See, that didn't count in the 15th Air Force. That didn't count in all the rest of the stuff. You got 56,000 casualties in one battle in World War II, which was more than they had in all of Vietnam. That was called the Battle of the Bulge or the Battle of Attn.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, on Normandy, D-Day, on Omaha Beach, you know, you got more casualties in one day, you know, than they had in all of what's been going on in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
See, what happened is the Russian tank armies, here's what won World War II in Europe.
Okay.
The Russian tank armies with the T-34 and IS-2 tanks won. The U.S. Air Force had the P-51 Mustang, and it used B-17s as bait to bring up the Luftwaffe so the Mustangs could shoot down the Luftwaffe so they wouldn't have enough day fighters to do what they needed to do to resist the Russians. And that's the formula for what happened in World War II in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Mustangs shooting down German planes and getting air superiority. And the Russians with their tanks and their troops.
So you telling me that the Russians and Tuskegee Airmen won World War II in Europe?
Well, not just the Tuskegee Airmen, but the U.S. Army Air Corps.
Okay, but they were riding Mustangs too, right? They were Tuskegee Airmen were using Mustangs?
Yeah, see, the bottom line is that Stalin was after the Allies to open a second front to take the pressure off of him.
Mm-hmm.
The Soviet Army that was some bad news.
Mm.
They were ruthless, brave, courageous, and they took a lot of casualties.
So was Stalin necessary as a leader then? Well, you had to have somebody like Stalin to be in charge in order for that to happen, all the sacrifices?
Yeah, he did it. See,
so would that work with FDR?
Unlike Hitler,
mm-hmm.
who basically did more to get in the way of his generals than anything else, and his generals plotted against him.
Yeah, Ernst Rommel, yeah.
Stalin was the other way around. He had his generals terrified of him, and he was acknowledged as the generalissimo. He had the bright ideas. He came up with them. He didn't interfere. He said, "You go do this or you die."
So FDR would not have been effective as leader of Russia.
No.
Nobody would but Stalin.
And in fact, I've seen some analysis doing body language analysis off of it. It just says Churchill was kind of here and there. FDR, of course, he had that physical handicap. He couldn't walk. But the body language was aggressive, enthusiastic. But Stalin had the body language of somebody you did not want to meet in the back alley.
Well, he was a real gangster. He was like a boss. He was a mob.
Real street enforcing type gangster.
A hitter.
Yeah. He probably had more absolute power over more people than any other human in history. He even had more absolute power than Mao did in China. Mao had to manipulate the youth and all of this and play everybody else against all. But Stalin was the real deal.
But he was killed. I mean, his own people killed him, right? I mean, now they're saying Did you hear about that? They said he got poisoned or something. You don't think that's true?
No, he died of a cerebral hemorrhage. He had been showing signs of it.
Okay. You don't think it was like a slow poisoning though? Like could have been brought on by?
No, it's like he was in his 70s, late 70s. He had a stressful life. No vacation time. Nobody to relieve him of his stress. And he was properly paranoid of everybody. If he even had a slight suspicion, your behind was dead.
I mean, he killed a lot. I mean, Trotsky, he killed so many people off and deported them or whatever, or put them in Siberia or whatever. But you don't think Lenin was poisoned? You don't think they killed Lenin? Like Stalin was involved in that?
They didn't kill Lenin. Lenin had cerebral hemorrhage. So did FDR.
See, I heard so many things like the conspiracy with FDR, how he really died in Warm Springs, that he wasn't killed.
Look at it this way. In that day and time, everybody ate bacon, ham, and sausage, right?
Every day, right?
And I can remember in elementary school, the school nurse giving us our nutritional information. Boys and girls, be sure to eat the fat off of the meat. Don't throw it away. That's good for you. That is nutritious. And Campbell's Soup used to have advertising. Notice the globules of oil floating around on the surface. That shows how nutritious our soups are. Good Lord, Heart Attack City. And these guys chain smoke. They got no sleep. There's no modern medicine the way we look at it.
Right.
They had just invented antibiotics, penicillin. And these guys caught diseases they never really got rid of. Stalin started off almost as a peasant. And, one arm was shorter than the other because he'd gotten injured. He had had multiple injuries and, smoking, chain smoking. And drinking that vodka 24/7 is no wonder he would live that long.
He could have probably lived to be 100 years old. He did all that.
Yeah, I know.
If he lived to be 70-something years old, doing that.
And he was known to keep, sleep just a couple of hours a night.
Paranoid like a mother. Did he do cocaine? I heard that FDR was doing cocaine for sinus issues or whatever.
Well, they did. That was a treatment for sinus.
Okay. Interesting.
That was a clinical treatment for it. So, yeah.
So can anybody be healthy to be president? I mean, is it possible to really be an effective president? Is it possible to be healthy?
Well, in other words, if you are really being a good president, your ass is so stressed out, you age a whole lot by the time you get out of there. If you look at a president who didn't age much, he didn't do shit. George W. Bush didn't age much, neither did Obama.
You think he just stopped coloring his hair, or he just put some color in there to act like he was old?
Well, he just switched from being 40s to 50s. And St. Ronald Reagan went in there, senile bastard, and he came out the same way.
They say he used to fall asleep at meetings. I don't know what to believe no more about this stuff, but he was an older guy. He was 69. He became president, left almost at 80 years old. He's like, he already had issues.
Yeah, but see, Trump was the oldest man to be sworn in as president.
Mm-hmm.
If Hillary had been elected, she would have been the third oldest.
Okay.
If Bernie had been elected, he would have been the oldest, just like Trump.
Is that a good thing to help people at that age? I mean, I'm no disrespect, Judge. I'm going to ask you, is it good to help somebody at that age, at that level? Wow, like you said, the stresses of the job.
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
See, it depends on your circumstances. Is it a time in history where wisdom is needed, or is it a time in history where there's outright rank, we can do it, enthusiasm is needed?
Mm-hmm.
Putin took over being Russian Tsar at a fairly early age, but he seems to be a heavyweight. But look at the People's Republic of China.
Mm-hmm.
See, they've got a saying, if you are in your 20s and you're not liberal, something's wrong with your soul. If you become middle-aged and don't start becoming conservative, then something's wrong with your mind.
I like that. That makes sense. Okay, Joe, I'm listening.
Well, see, it's, for example, there's much to be said for this phrase, been there, seen that, done that.
Mm-hmm.
Or walk the walk, talk the talk, or got the T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to some of these people right now, and too many of them don't even have a clue. I listen to what's going on for the city of Memphis. There are about 5 or 6 old hands running. They've done a decent job with what they've done. I have no problems with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got some neophyte clowns that just want to add this to their resume. Like, it's high school and you're trying to build up a little file to show your extracurricular activities.
Right, community service, all that stuff to get in.
They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know where the skeletons are, and they certainly don't know where the damn graveyards are.
But they wouldn't do that dirt. See, my thing is, we don't got no old school tough. Like, we don't got no political machine like back in the day. I mean, even like a Daily or a Pendergast or a Crumpy. We don't got no strong, willful personalities, it seems. Or maybe I'll be mistaken.
I'm so glad that Harrington is going to run for mayor of the city next year.
Is it what they say about us though, that he got to come out of retirement and run the city or try to run?
Who's that?
Like, what does it say about Memphis that we got to bring back Harrington because he's a strong, willful personality and a bold guy?
Pathetic because the LGBTQ thing is taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Like this boy running for
Lee Harris,
candidate for Harris.
Yeah, tell me about it. We do about Lee.
LGBTQ. That's all you get. I mean, he amends the city charter to include rights for the gays, but don't say anything about black folks.
We took the statue down, though, Judge. Got the statue down?
That's the biggest rip-off going. We gave away $25 million in prime property for $5,000.
But it makes us feel good, though. It's like, it feels so good. We broke, so we feel good.
I don't, goddamn it, because you put the shit up for bid, I'd have bought it.
No, I think they would have brought it if they knew it was getting bid on the sun.
Yeah, but it's still, goddamn it, all the sales tax I paid, you paid in this city. Goddamn it, I'd buy it. Let me know.
Man, we need, like you were talking about, like the distribution idea. We should be like the biggest thing going in the South and in the country with the distribution hub. Where's the DC to bring international trade to Memphis?
And then the other thing is, you want to represent this place, you ought to be able to walk any damn place in this city.
Yeah.
With no bodyguards. And your ass scared to get out there because you get your behind kicked.
That's why I give rappers they do, because you rappers get shot at and beat up and robbed, but they still get out there.
Yeah. And hey, it ain't your punk partners you've been pulling down each other's boxes underwear with, you know.
Yes, sir. I hear you. I gotta ask you
too much of that. It's their right under the First Amendment.
Yes, sir.
More power to them. But we also have a right under the First Amendment to push back when we don't think that's good for all, you know. So,
but why can't we respect? But why can't we respect your point of view as well as their point of view? Why is it? It's a one-way street. Like,
exactly.
You know, we all human beings. You know, we all got points of view.
The other difference is, you know what the difference is?
What is?
You take me and you. I mean, I'm walking with a cane these days, but I've been taking martial arts for more than 50 years. I got some nasty tricks I can show you.
Especially with the cane, I believe too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that helps. You know, like. No weapons allowed. Well, I got mine right here, you know. So, yeah, but sometimes it comes down to, okay, let's see what's going to happen. I ain't the biggest somebody walking around, but you will have a good fight on your hands, and I probably will kick your ass.
Yeah, you ain't going to be no easy kill. I know you ain't going to be no easy mark. Yes, sir.
No. So, you know, if you want to play it that way, we can take it that way. But too many people, you know, they just sitting up there running the mouth off, you know, and stabbing people in the back. And, oh, my God, he might retaliate. What the hell do you think you've been earning?
You know, Judge, I got to tell you this right quick. I was looking at somebody, my Facebook timeline. Somebody said they met an elder. He said he had two things in his car. He had a 357 and he had a Bible. He had the Bible to teach people about Jesus. He had the 357 if you want to meet Jesus. If you met with it, he was joking. So,
well, he's joking, but you know,
I understand. I understand why elders carry guns. Yeah, I understand why people carry guns. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I do too, but I mean, I carry them. But you know, seeing Jesus ain't got nothing to do with my motivation.
Man, this is crazy. Hey, Joe, this was something I was thinking about as I was talking to you. I know I talked to you early in the conversation about Obama and Hawaii and his birth certificate. Do you think it's unusual that all Obama's political opponents, like you look at John McCain, he was born in Panama. You look at Mitt Romney, whose father was born in Mexico. They're Mormons, but his father was actually born in Mexico. And then you got Obama with his birth certificate thing. You think that's unusual that he had candidates? They had interest in like immigration status or backgrounds or whatever?
No, it's not unusual. You know, you pay attention to things that are close to home.
So would it have been problem with Romney? His daddy was governor of Michigan, though. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, Mitt Romney. Is a hack. Biden's a hack. Hillary's a hack. The only real somebody they had out there was Bernie Sanders.
Why did he fight hard? His supporters believed in. Why he didn't fight for the nomination? Even Ted Kennedy fought Jimmy Carter back in 1980. Why he didn't fight harder for the nomination?
Who didn't fight harder?
Yeah, Bernie Sanders. He actually earned it, it seems, but he was cheated out of it.
Here's what happened. Years ago, they set up that super delegate thing for the Democratic Party, specifically to get Hillary as the presidential candidate. It backfired on them, and they got pretty boy chick flick matinee star, basketball player.
Right.
You know, which is kind of embarrassing. You know, we're all supposed to be about basketball.
And he sung Amazing Grace, too. Don't forget. He sung some Negro spirituals.
Grace playing basketball. Good front off for somebody that has no exposure to black life in America. I was over there in Hawaii, and that high school that he went to is now up to like $115,000 a year tuition, without room and board included in it. You know, and most people don't have that kind of experience, you know.
Well, people say you learn on the job, right? That's how you get experience, learn on the job.
Yeah, but there's only so much you can learn in 8 years. By the time you learn it, it's too damn late to do anything with it.
But you notice how so many of the ex-presidents, they're more vocal about things they care about after office, rather while having power.
Yeah, a lot of them just learn. See, the real good presidents don't live very long after they get out of office.
Like Eisenhower, he had all the stroke, whatever he was doing, heart attacks or something.
LBJ.
Yeah, LBJ. What about Teddy Roosevelt? What do you think about Teddy Roosevelt?
Goddamn racist bastard.
He was honest about it, though.
He's a racist, no good scoundrel. His favorite uncle was an agent for the Confederates in the Civil War.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Never would take the oath of allegiance, so he'd have to speak back in America.
Wow. But wasn't it black folks that saved Roosevelt's ass on San Juan Hill? The Buffalo Soldiers, they saved his ass.
9th and 10th Cavalry got the Cuban flag, but the true matter is that they tell at West Point now is that Teddy Roosevelt's chief sergeant was directed by Roosevelt to cock his pistol and put it to the head of the black sergeant who had the flag and take it from him.
Wow, I didn't know that. Ain't that
racist bastard. And then the first thing that son of a bitch does is he put it out as an executive order to hang as many colored troops as he could manage on any pretext.
There was an incident down in Brownsville, Texas, where they're back in 1906 or something.
Yeah, they jacked up some black folk, and the black troops resisted or helped the black folk resist. They executed around 40 of them.
And he didn't try to intervene. Like, I think even people say,
no, he ordered it.
Like, it's even interesting, like, back in 1917 in Houston, when Woodrow Wilson was president, they executed a large number of black soldiers.
Woodrow Wilson was another racist son of a bitch.
But black folks voted for him like they say he was the next coming to Lincoln. I don't know why.
Woodrow Wilson was from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
You know that son of a bitch was the one that signed the executive order segregating Washington, D.C.?
Yes, sir. But he got a large number of the black vote, though. You had a lot of black leaders advocating for it.
I can't speak on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the Democrats really didn't start picking up black votes until FDR got it.
Oh, yeah. But the New Deal didn't help a lot of black folks get employed, though. I mean, how many black folks work on the Hoover Dam? You know, I was looking at, I think, maybe 2 or 3. That was a big project.
Actually, I do know a lot of black folk, or I did, they're dead now, who told me that they got jobs under
WPA.
Margaret.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, including my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I had an interesting situation. She got employed through that back in the late mid-1930s. She got sent up here to Brownsville.
Mm-hmm.
And the city manager would not let her come into City Hall, so they took a barn and set an office up for her out in the barn. I told him about it years later, and he wound up handwriting a letter of apology to her.
And she was still around, your mother?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. And what she said when she received it, when she received that letter of apology? Did you say what?
Yes,
Sorry, do that was wrong. It's like, you know, it's funny with these pardons. I remember I saw when the governor of Alabama at the time, he pardoned the Scottsboro boys down in Alabama. Back in 2013, I was down there documenting. I said, what did they do wrong? Why they need a pardon? Why they need to be exonerated? They didn't do anything wrong. They were trying to find jobs during the Great Depression, and these 2 white prostitutes lied on them. And the system railroad, and it still happened on Central Park 5 and all this stuff. So why do black folks always feel the need to apologize or to say, I forgive somebody that wronged them? Why would we even seek that validation from these people?
Our nature. Or our acquired nature. By the way, I resent the fact that the United States government named one of these super carriers the John B. Stennis.
Mm-hmm.
5,000 sailors on board, a bunch of them black, and they're serving on board an aircraft carrier named after the worst racist in the country's history. John B. Stennis should have died years before he did. But I call it the soup ship.
Mm. His name is guy named John B. Smith, you said?
John B. Stennis.
Stennis, okay.
And then the Republican Party that was in control then didn't even have the decency to let the fool die first. You're not supposed to name Navy ships after people that are still breathing.
And what state did he come from? He a Southern Dixiecrat or something?
Stennis?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to let you do your homework. Look up Stennis.
Okay, I heard the name before. I'm just trying to figure, okay, I'll do my homework. And I think everybody else will do their homework too. John Stennis. I heard of Eastland. I heard of Bilbo. All the other crackers, but let me look him up.
Bilbo, Stennis, and all of that. Yeah, you should.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Now, let me do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to paint a picture.
Okay.
I'm from Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I get out here and, I got all this imagery in my mind of house Negroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I was dating this woman. It's 1973. And she's from Jackson, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So I go down there with her to Jackson, Mississippi, visit her folks. Well, her brother was in grad school, but he did a lot of work as a part-time waiter at a big hotel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she says, you might want to give him a call. I called him and said, yeah, why don't you come on down for the soup ceremony? I said, the what? Yeah, we got a big event at the hotel. So they had this event that they had every year in Mississippi in Jackson. They had Stennis, Faubus, what's his name? Redneck cracker that got shot.
Oh, George Wallace.
George Wallace and everybody. So I go down there and you got to come to the kitchen. So I walk to the kitchen and they got all these black folk around there who are waiters. They got a whole huge crowd of racist rednecks. I mean, this looked like who's who of redneck America, Dixiecrat, all this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So this old brother, he said, I come out of retirement because this my privilege every year, Southern soup. What kind of house Negro is this fool talking about? Young man, you won't be part of the soup ceremony? I said, hell no. And when you stand over there, you watch anyway. Mm-hmm. So they had this big vat of soup. So all these fools pull their dicks out and start pissing in the soup.
The secret recipe. Wow. I'm sorry. I love it.
Goddamn. Okay. So they put me behind the curtain. Just behind the head dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, old homeboy, I was calling the house Negro. He come up there. Governor Faubus, it's always been my pleasure, sir, to serve you. Folks just don't understand how good you've been to our people. Now, I know you like this soup. And you just let me know I bought you an extra big bowl, sir. And if you want some more, I know your wife getting on you about keeping sodium out your diet. but we won't tell nobody now, will we, sir? Oh, sir, you so good to me. You gave me a quarter tip, so that's so generous.
Oh my God, I love it. This is y'all can't make this up.
I was and Dennis was up there slurping down his soup. It sure is good, Jim. It sure is good.
I love this story. That's an excellent job. I appreciate it. Oh, people gonna love that. I gotta ask you the rap. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about. Go ahead. About Hawaii, the situation. I know we know of a volcano erupted on one of the islands, and I just want to know what your take was. Were you able to eyewitness anything pertaining to that?
I flew in a helicopter over there.
Mm-hmm. And how was it?
It was fascinating. You could see the white, yellow glow of the lava, and it would turn orange and then red, and then the lava would turn silver, and then it would be black, and it just looked like, wow, that stuff really spread. So you could see it when it hit the ocean, and it would steam when the hot lava got to the ocean. So they were saying that since it's been active this last time, the island has grown by a quarter of a mile. In other words, it's a quarter of a mile further out in the ocean all around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then to give you a little clue, Stennis is from Mississippi.
Yeah, I thought so. I heard that name. I mean, he up there with them guys. So okay.
He was a Democrat who served in the Senate for over 41 years, becoming its most senior member for his last 8 years. He retired from the Senate in 1989.
Did he outlast Eastland or?
Yeah, all of them folk.
Wow. So, man, what actually like the prospects? I guess Hawaii ain't going nowhere. It's actually becoming bigger. What is the prospects of a place like Puerto Rico becoming an official state?
Well, they've offered from time to time. There has been a resistance movement driven by some Puerto Ricans who want to become independent of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
More on Stennis. He won a seat in the Mississippi House of Representatives, holding office from 1928 to 1932.
Wow,
After serving as a prosecutor and state judge, Stennis won a special election to fill the Senate vacancy that arose following the death of Theodore G. Bilbo.
Yeah, that was an interesting dude.
He won election to his first full term in 1952.
Mm-hmm.
And remained in the Senate until he declined to seek re-election in 1988.
Yeah, that man, oh, wow. That's a long time.
He was breathing air. Stennis was a zealous, I'm reading from Wikipedia, Stennis was a zealous supporter of racial segregation. He signed the Southern Manifesto, which called for resistance to the Supreme Court ruling in Brown v. Board of Education. He voted against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He voted against the Voting Rights Act of 1964, voted against the Civil Rights Act of 1968.
He was on the wrong side of history, see.
He supported an extension for the Voting Rights Act of 1982, but voted against the establishment of a Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a holiday.
Interesting. Not surprised. Wow.
Yeah. They name an aircraft area after him, 1,100 feet long and 100,000 tons.
Wow. I mean, that's America. It's about myth making. It's not about the actual factual, but it's about the myth, not about the truth. So that's America. That's why we got Hollywood. Like you said, people get their history lessons from movies that's been fictionalized based on actual events rather than just doing their own research.
Yeah, but just think of 5,000 sailors to man this aircraft carrier, and all those black folks there sitting on a warship of the United States Navy named after this racist dog.
But how many of them are aware, though? That's the thing. He's not taught in school like that. How many people know their history? about this. I would refuse service on a ship like that. It's like I would refuse to go into the J. Edgar Hoover building, or if I was an FBI person.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how many people got that type of consciousness though to understand? Oh, are willing to make those sacrifices to be like Kaepernick or somebody like that, to be ostracized and blackballed based on principle.
Well, I knew about John B. Stennis when I was in elementary school.
Did you learn it at school, or you learned it from your people, your folks? About
in school.
They taught you. Okay, I guess he's a senator or whatever.
No, he was a racist.
Mm-hmm. It's fascinating, Judge.
And don't forget James Eastland.
Oh, I can't never forget him. And he's the reason why they lost.
I mean, and then Richard Russell.
Oh yeah, Dick Russell from Georgia. Oh, LBJ friend, Dickie Russell. But it was Eastland that put the information on Emmett Till's father that was sealed. He wanted to leak it to the press that basically turned the jury, I guess the people, they were white men, but they turned the jury against convicting them guys, even though they were white men. I had interviewed a guy whose stepfather was a sheriff deputy down in Charleston, Mississippi, and he actually did his thesis down in Florida. I think it was University of Florida or somewhere like that, on the Emmett Till trial. This is a white dude from Charleston, Mississippi. I interviewed him some years ago. He was an Obama supporter back in 2008. So he wrote his thesis paper or dissertation on the Emmett Till trial. He actually interviewed all the jurors and law enforcement and people involved in that. And, a lot of people knew these guys did it, but they would feel like they were being attacked by the outside agitators, like the press was painting that part of Mississippi unfairly. Even though they knew the men, J.W. Malum and Roy Brown, was guilty of killing the Emmett Till. So I think James Baldwin used that as the source for his play Blues for Mr. Charlie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Stennis advocated for Mississippi voters to back Democratic presidential nominee John F. Kennedy in place of voting for an independent slate of electors in the Mississippi election.
And it was JFK administration that pulled the benefits from the black folks in Greenwood, Mississippi.
Yeah.
They try to excise that right. I mean, people got this Camelot BS about Kennedy administration, like it was so good to black people.
I never could stand him. I couldn't stand his damn voice, his attitude, the way he carried himself, and I thought Jackie Kennedy / Onassis was an ugly-looking woman with a funny-looking nose.
I mean, yeah. There you go. There you have it. Now you're going to a lot of people say, "Oh, George, think that." It's fascinating, man. Well, Judge, I want to thank you so much once again for providing all this information. People want to be having like a lot of time to look up. We're going to start a study group for all this information you're putting out there, because people ain't going to get this from the news. They're not getting it. They always talk about is Trump. It's like we got to learn how to separate our emotions from our politics if we're going to get something done. And we got to start creating critical and logical thinking, and also like for example, when you vote for somebody, don't vote for somebody just because they got a good sounding name or they look good or stuff like that. That's what I think people be voting on. They're not voting on issues. There's just a lot of emotional stuff going on, and like they use our emotions to be manipulated for their own gain. Like you said, the three biggest things are what, Judge, when it comes to this game? What are the three agendas right now? You said finance. You said
finance, big energy, and LGBTQ.
So people need to do the research on that. And also, Judge, you have anything else you'd like to say in closing?
It's another week. Hang in there. An election's coming up. Vote conscientiously. There's not much to vote for. I would say this. I particularly would urge you to support a certain friend of mine for circuit court judge.
Who is that? Who would that be, Judge?
I got another. Well, Yolanda Kite.
Okay.
She's a good sister.
Mm-hmm. And so
I just wish it was one where we could attack those people down at Juvaroo, the kangaroo court known as juvenile court.
I hear you.
We need to get rid of every single one of those scoundrels down there.
Yeah, and like, you know, I told somebody about Georgia Tan, elder. He never heard of her. He from Memphis. He said, who's Georgia Tan? So, you know, I said, well, it is another day, another week. But, Judge, thank you so much for being an educator. You can find Judge Joe Brown, folks, on social media, at Twitter, at the handle at Judge Joe Brown TV. That's the actual judge. He don't have that blue check mark, but he's the real deal. If you holler at Judge on Twitter, he'll respond back. So that's the way you reach Judge Joe Brown.
And I'm going to revive some saying, power to the people.
Mm-hmm.
And right on. So let's see what happens.
Yes, sir. Power
All right,
to people.
young brother, have a good week.
You too. God bless, Judge. We love you, man. They keep on producing and pushing.
Take it easy.
Yes, sir. You too.